Today's video is going to be a tribute to Andy Lau for his birthday. His 61st birthday today, September 27th. And I figured that I would show off a few of my favorite Andy Lau movies and a few of my favorite albums of his. Because I love his singing, I love him as a singer and an actor. And in fact, the poster that you see is from Island on Fire, with an all-star cast, Andy Lau right front and center. So, my history with Andy Lau, I love him as a singer and an actor, and it took me years to find any of his albums because they had been so more difficult to get your hands on and find. However, I do have a few of those, and starting off with how I actually was introduced to Andy Lau would be in one of his movies, my favorite movie actually of his, Full-Time Killer. So the movie that was directed by Johnny To, and from the start I always loved the way he performs in this movie. Now he's a great actor, but for some reason I feel very different watching this movie. I like him more in this than most other movies, and maybe that's partially why it's my favorite, but also the fact that it was the first one I've seen, and his co-star in this is Takashi Sormiachi, Japanese singer and actor, and Kelly Lynn, who's been in a few other movies, and Andy Lau is actually a bad guy in this, but he definitely steals the show for me. Simon Yam is also in this as a police officer, and Andy Lau and Sormiachi are both hitmen who kind of cross paths and then kind of go after the same targets because Andy Lau wants to be the best hitman. And they grow to get to know each other over the course of the movie. But it's a classic movie. It's from early 2000s, and as far as I know, it's not on Blu-ray anywhere. And I love this movie, and I love the way it was filmed, and almost as if it's like from the 80s. I always thought when I first saw it that it was an 80s film, and here it wasn't. It was like a recent release. I think the release here would have been around 2004 or so, but that's when I remember seeing it. I was at the video store and I saw the case and I ended up renting it, and I thought I recognized Andy Lau, but definitely if I hadn't known him, this movie would have explained, just how good he was, and definitely got me to explore more into Andy Lau's movies. But that's my favorite. That's Full-Time Killer. Another one that I bought that I had seen online, and that's Full Throttle, where he races bikes, and it's just I love this movie as well, and he even does a theme song for it. But for some reason, sometimes it's hard to explain. You just got that feeling for a movie, and that's Full Throttle. It does what Full-Time Killer did for me with Andy Lau, but it's more dramatic. This is from 95, 96. So, it's not action like Full-Time Killer, but it's like another side of Andy Lau. Kind of like Full-Time Killer would be, you kind of didn't see that type of character. You did a little bit in previous movies, and Andy Lau has such a vast filmography that here's the disc, but he can do whatever he wants and pull it off, and that's Full-Time Killer, Full Throttle. And another one that I had seen again online Actually, I think I watched most of these on YouTube. Somebody had these on before I could ever find editions. A Taste of Killing and Romance. It's kind of a harder one to get your hands on. And Andy Lau and Anita Yuen is also in this. And they, again, sort of like Full-Time Killer, they play hitmen. And they kind of cross paths. And they don't realize that they're hitmen, that either of them are doing the same thing. But they discover, and then they fall in love. There's the disc. So, another great one, and definitely needs a Blu-ray. Full Throttle has this Blu-ray, but a lot of his movies just don't have Blu-rays, and I hope that we kind of get a Blu-ray run for Andy Lau, kind of like we did with some of these other actors, especially Jackie Chan with 88 and Eureka, putting out the Blu-rays left and right. So Andy Lau has a lot of those old school 80s and early 90s kind of heroic bloodshed type of films. But we definitely need some of these on Blu-ray because they go unnoticed. Another one that I watched, actually this was a blind buy. I got this from Yes Asia. Same time I got Full-Time Killer, or Full Throttle rather, and that is Gun and Rose. So another underrated movie, no Blu-ray, but definitely deserves it. Andy Lau plays kind of like a comedian. Well, he has a more comedic role in this, but there's also action. So Leon Lai, Simon Yam is actually in this as well. Alan Tang. And so this is another one with like not hitmen, but more of like triad, and you know, action ensues. But another great and underrated one. And so my final pick for some of my favorites would be The Adventurers, where it shows him as a pilot there. Now he's not really, it only features him as a pilot at the beginning of the movie. And but this is a really good action film with good dramatic elements too. And Rosamund Kwan stars alongside him, and directed by Ringo Lam. So I definitely recommend this. Now, Cameron Ronson, the company that released Full Throttle on Blu-ray, released this on Blu-ray as well. I haven't been able to luck out and get that. But that's The Adventurers, not to be mistaken with his other movie with the same title from 2017, but this is 1996, I believe. So definitely recommend it. So his albums, my top 4 favorites. One of his early albums, Back to You, or Back for You, and I got this from Yes Asia. And this is a 1988 album, I believe, but definitely noteworthy. There's a lot of songs. Actually, the theme song for As Tears Go By is on this album. And this is a full-length. When I put this in, I gotta just listen to the whole album. I don't like skipping around, even if I'm just casually listening. So that's how much I enjoy that. One of my other favorites, definitely my top 3 Andy Lau albums of all time. Andy Lau's Thank You For Your Love. As far as I know, this hasn't been reissued, but it's also very difficult to find. So I'm very fortunate to have this one. So a lot of great songs on it. Thank You For Your Love was actually probably the first song I remember hearing from Andy Lau. back when I was in college. So I actually got into him through the movie Full Time Killer in 2004, and it wouldn't be until about 2013, 2014 when I get into the music, due to more wide availability on YouTube, and I started looking these CDs up to try to find them, and started ordering away. So another one I really love, it's playing right now, Coffee or Tea. For years I saw this album art, and I just really wanted to get my hands on the album. I love that title and simple artwork, but definitely love this album. And last but not least, from about 1996, and that's Because of Love, which this is probably my most listened to, because this is the first one I got, and for a few years I didn't get it. I wasn't able to track down anymore, so this was all I had. And so I definitely made a an impact on me, and this is my go-to album. Disc artwork on the disc. So, well, that's my top albums and top movies from Andy Lau. And so happy birthday to him, and in the future I hope to do maybe a album collection, a movie collection, maybe some reviews a little better. So thank you for watching, and happy birthday, Andy Lau.